Minecraft is known as a game where the player base creates and builds their own story, with a few exceptions such as the Telltale Minecraft story modes and a few others that break this mode. However, unlike other Minecraft games in the series, Mojang built this game on the Unreal Engine, which will allow quite a bit more programming power than the traditional Java game had. While the Unreal Engine still relies heavily on object-oriented programming, the static environments and lighting shine through better than they would have under Java Potential. This game follows suit in the isometric stylings of traditional dungeon crawlers, complete with its own story. It's an action RPG with the majority of the game relying heavily on combat. If you are wanting more Minecraft dungeon news, additional content, or gaming news in general, please subscribe and ring that bell for future videos. It will go a long way to help out the channel.
It was a time of great adventure and danger.
Minecraft Dungeons story mode follows the aptly named enemy, the Arch-Illager. He is cast out and picked on by the other Illagers. While on his own, he stumbles upon an artifact of immense power, the Orb of Dominance. With the orb, he takes his revenge on the Illagers who made fun of him and takes up an army of the dead. Your role as the hero of this game is to save the villagers from the Arch-Illager's armies and to shatter his orb.
Great heroes saved the day and vanquished evil.
Unlike the namesake of this game, there is no crafting or mining within it. While there is nods to vanilla Minecraft with zombies, skeletons, creepers, and even pillagers running around, this game is more heavily focused on the Diablo-esque style dungeon crawling and combat. Along with the core game monsters, there are added mobs in the form of wraiths, which specialize in elemental attacks, and necromancers, which, as the name would suggest, will summon hordes of undead to fight you. The hub area of the game will continue to expand as you progress through levels, with small nods to achieved victories being added into little spots. There is an overworld and dungeons, and much like Diablo 3, each is procedurally generated and randomized between loot drops to mob spawns and even the tiles themselves, so no two dungeons will ever be the same. Taking notes from Diablo, the game supports multiplayer up to 4 players at a time via local play or internet. Depending on the amount of players will also determine the amount of monsters on the screen. There is no set classes. This decision was made to allow a more openly inviting gameplay for both beginners in dungeon crawlers to more advanced players. At its core, players are given both a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. When starting out, the melee weapon allows the player to smash through hordes with ease. As the game progresses with its ever-increasing difficulty, the players may opt to using a ranged weapon to pick off enemies, weaken hordes with a final push with melee. Each weapon comes with a set of available enchants that will grant various effects such as health regen, extra damage, or even multi-shots. The only downside is that there is few weapons and armors in the game, and by pretty early game you will see most, if not all, weapons and artifacts. Speaking of artifacts, the only real customization to the way your game is going to play is in the form of different artifacts. Some summon creatures to fight alongside you, others create shields and healing totems, while others enhance how you can attack. As the player levels up, they can increase their power level. The power level is the average level of the player gear. Now each level the player gets will be granting a new enchantment point, which will allow the player to add more enchantments to their gear. At this current time, Minecraft Dungeons does not support player modding. This was briefly touched on in an interview, and while there might be some interest in a possible update to the game later on for For the moment, the game will not support it. Even though I really have a sweet Minecraft skin I would love to bring to this game. Microtransactions are a commonplace in most games now. But with Minecraft Dungeons, there are no microtransactions. There are no buyable loot boxes. There are no buyable skins, except for the DLC, but we'll get into that. This is a nice and welcomed change, as most games that offer loot boxes usually give the player a unique weapon or skin, and most of the time breaking the game's balance slightly. This game has no gear, no skins that the players haven't earned themselves. After beating the game, stopping the Arch-Illager, and bringing peace to the game world, the player is then informed that there are 2 new levels of difficulties to further expand the player's power levels. The dungeons are since procedurally generated, so the randomizing, rerunning through the game several times isn't too terrible. With 2 DLCs in the works that will hopefully add more dungeons and locations to explore in the future. Well, that's my list of 8 core things that anybody who's interested in picking up this game should know. If you agree with my list, please leave me a like. If you disagree, please leave me a comment, letting me know of something that I could possibly change to make the list better for future reference. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a good night.